we will call the Big Debate, brings together the policy shapers and experts in a number of fields to debate the big equality issues facing our communities and our organisations. Samson's already said that I am the Cabinet Member with a responsibility for equality and diversity at Thurrock, and I've spent the 16 years with the Prince's Trust championing the work that we do as an organisation and making sure that there is an equality area around, helping young people. Through both of these roles, I realise that there is much to do if we are fit to live in a fair society. During the last century, the issues of equality, or maybe even inequality, has become a theme that has defined our generation. I am often struck by the huge disparities in income and wealth which exists around the world. These disparities have many dimensions and root causes. Issues of gender, race, homophobia and disability are unfortunately key factors. As a community champion, I believe that these issues of place has a big impact on equality. We have a rich place in the place that we call Thurrock. And some might say that Thurrock is the birthplace of what is now a multicultural Britain. The arrival of the SS Empire Windrush at the Tilbury Riverside landing stage brought the first wave of immigrants from the West Indies. More than 400 people were on board, many of whom had served in the British Armed Forces and as nurses. And now they came to the motherland to work. This was controversial at the time, but this is one important moment that would shape Thurrock and the United Kingdom as we know it today. Whilst the Windrush may have heralded the modern multicultural Britain, the reality that followed was in some cases the harsh reality of discrimination. Whilst the Windrush generation faced many equalities, the equalities challenge continues today and includes some many stark realities. For example, the pressure of hate crime in all of our communities, violence against women and girls, the fight for equality for the disabled, and the struggle for the rights of lesbians, gays and bisexual groups. For many of us today, we know that we are now facing one of the most difficult economic times of our generation. These new challenges include the need to build a more resourceful community and not just simply building houses. There is a debate about the value of social regeneration versus physical regeneration. This is an important debate because buildings don't make communities, people make communities. We have to start talking about social regeneration, not just physical regeneration. Through investing in jobs and the cultural capital in communities, we may have a shot at tackling some of the equality challenges ahead. I believe that the spirit and the capacity of communities may well be the only solution to some of the problems that we are now facing. We need to empower our communities so that they are able to help themselves and those living around them. Our population is ageing. We know that the proportion of people over the official retirement age is increasing as people are living longer. This creates major implications in the areas of pension and healthcare. Over the last 150 years, life expectancy in the UK has doubled from 40 to 80 years. With improvements in medical science, it is now estimated that by 2024, 1 in 5 people will now be of pensionable age. The demand of our local services is becoming greater at a time when our resources are becoming less. The challenge is to balance our responsibility for the next generation whilst meeting the needs of our generation. Complete changes to welfare will also have a profound community impact. In many areas, there is already a growing reliance on food banks and increasing pressure on the voluntary sector. In times of economic hardship, there is also the danger of hate crime and extremism. The development of far-right opinions always emerges when times are tough, and this can destabilise communities and challenge local equality attempts. I myself felt the instability of this in my own local election region recently. I found extreme views on the doorstep and intolerance growing in my ward and many other councillors' wards. Equality issues in education are another area that requires a key mention from me. My own son is currently making the higher education journey and, like many students, now expects huge debts. A student starting next year, if reports are true, may face debts in the region of £53,000 for 3 years' study. This is a great concern to me as a mother. How do I support and encourage him whilst preparing him for the reality of a highly competitive job market? Recently here in Thurrock, we have had applicants from degree graduates applying for Prince's Trust programmes. In 16 years that I've worked for the Prince's Trust, I've never known this. We are in a different world. So more of a general question has to be, how do we all manage aspirations rationally in a time of austerity? I could go on setting the challenges ahead, but I think that I've made my point, that in hard times and recession, equality becomes more and not less. Is there a message, if there is a message that we must all take away, is that equality and diversity is more than ever a critical driver for cohesive communities and organisational success. We must all make the case and champion equalities in our own settings. I'm proud to say that we have many local champions to continue to make the case here in Thurrock, and this includes the work of Thurrock, South East Essex Rape and Incest Centre, who are at the heart of challenging the inequalities faced by women and girls. Our 16 Days of Action, which aims to tackle issues of violence against women and girls, is a good example of the local leadership I am talking about. The work of our Excellence Centre in Equality and Diversity is another example of our role in creating thought leadership. I have to, at this time, I just want to say a special thank you to Samson for organising today, for getting you all here for the big debate. It will provide us with the evidence for our work that we all need to do to tackle the inequalities that we are facing in our region. So the big debate is important because it will give us today a space for discussion and a way for us all to engage and work in partnership. I wanted to point out the challenges but also the opportunities that are evident in all aspects of equality and the diversity agenda. We all require constant vigilance and visionary leadership to manage the changing demographics, new inequalities that will arise, economic challenges, generational differences, religious and spiritual impact, gender gaps, hate crime, privilege and class issues. These are all areas that we need to stand up and we need to be able to debate. So before I finish, I do just want to take the time to briefly thank the experts and policy shapers that have taken the time to come here today. I'd like to say thank you to people like Baroness Prosser, Wes Streeting, Michael Keating, Masood Ahmed, Diana Warman and Janet Beach, just to name but a few. Also our own experts, including Joe Olson, who's here today, our Centre of Excellence team and you, the delegates, that have taken the time to come to this event. And that is it for me, but I do just want to set the scene about the rules for today. I think that let's be honest and challenging in all of our debates, but also let's be respectful of other people's views. Through an important annual event today, we will be able to contribute to the evidence and thinking that we need to tackle inequalities. And I'll finish with, there is a famous Chinese saying, may you live in interesting times. And I have to say that these are interesting and challenging times. Thank you.